Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. Tonight, we're going to talk about capitalism. Strikes again. Discord is reportedly about to do something that gamers aren't too thrilled about. And that is, they're in the talks with bankers, and it sounds like they're on the verge of launching an initial IPO. So, initial public offering. So, if you don't know, Discord is pretty much a popular, chat collaboration system built around the gaming community. You can download it on your phone. It's on PC. It's on gaming consoles. It's a major channel for a lot of countless communities, and particularly very popular in gaming. I mean, but it's around everything. There's Discords for everything out there. Any new game being developed, especially early access, their developers and support staff are almost exclusively communicating on Discord. If you want to know the latest happenings of a game, it's on Discord, right? So, and it's only been around since 10 years now, 2015 to 2025. Yeah. So 10 years, Discord's been around. It initially launched in 2015 and it was everybody assumed, or, it was just another competing entry in the voice chat based apps. Back in the day, we had Roger Wilco and Ventrilo and all that. And then this one came out and it had a little bit more to offer than those, right? It had like space where you can post things and chat with people. Whereas, Roger Wilco and Ventrilo was more of a voice chat application where you can play games with your friends before that became popular, that like Xbox has their own and PlayStation has their own, and Nintendo has a crappy mobile thing to do voice chat with. They don't even really have a decent one. So that's how you know that Switch is not built for multiplayer that's not in the same room, not couch co-op, right? So basically they're saying that Discord has grew quickly among game-focused communities, displacing classical text chat solutions like IRC and gaining popularity among Twitch streamers and Reddit communities looking for places for their users to meet and interact. Discord's leadership seems to have taken this as a sign to get bigger. In a report in the New York Times, according to the report, Discord's leaders have been meeting with investment bankers on Wall Street and beyond as the company prepares to issue an IPO. As of 2021, private investors pegged Discord's estimated value at nearly $15 billion US. When Microsoft was reportedly in talks to acquire Discord. That never happened. So the big reason why this is in the news is because the gaming community has essentially rallied against this. Anything that happens when something gamers use that's free, that's getting ready to become a public entity, it spells disaster, right? Because what that does is put an end to the free model almost. The free updates and things like that are going to get paywalled. Now, Discord's not entirely free, right? I mean, it is free to use and do whatever the hell you want for the most part, but they have a boosted server type, the Nitro system, that you can boost servers and get like extra emotes and extra functions and things like that you could pay for. And it seemed, while I understand that was for them to make money and keep the platform going because there isn't really ads in Discord, right? So, that's what gamers like. It's a pretty unintrusive system. So, a lot of gamers are calling the leadership sellouts, which happens to a lot of companies when they're trying to make bank. They get called sellouts, right? And expressing concerns that the IPO would spell the end of adding new free features to Discord. They theorized that the launch of an IPO and subsequent focus on endless growth could cause currently free functionality to be paywalled behind a Discord Nitro subscription or some other form of toxic monetization, which nobody in this room would argue against that. That is exactly what's going to happen. Got to figure out how to get that $15 billion estimated IPO, right? Other commenters have urged calm, saying that the story's own sources caution that the talks are merely exploratory. They also said that such a change shouldn't surprise, given the talk about a Discord IPO dates back to concerns about a potential Microsoft acquisition back in the day. Still, others said that the recent rumors highlight the need for gaming in other communities not to centralize on a single platform. I mean, centralization always spells disaster. What really needs to happen, to be honest with you, and kind of leaving the story behind, because it's just a lot more talks about that, about them going with their IPO and talking to bankers and things like that, is that somebody needs to come out with an open source community solution. That way it can never be used like that. If somebody just comes out with an open source solution and it becomes popular and everybody's allowed to work with the source code and update it and make it better and things like that, there just needs to be a open source base to something that's going to help gamers out. That way you can prevent this from being a problem in the future. But right now, I mean, $15 billion is a pretty good IPO for something like I mean, I don't know how much money they make off the Nitro subscriptions. I'll be honest, out of 10 servers that I probably join and leave throughout the year, probably less than 20% have Nitro subscriptions to them, occasionally one will get boosted, but it's not a permanent. They don't usually subscribe and keep it boosted. They'll just boost it 1 month for a month and then move on. People aren't active. So I would say less than 20%, which is probably even way less than that, because there's times where I've joined servers after server and there's no Nitro boosting on any of them, right? So it may be higher than that. It just may be the groups that I hang in there, a bunch of older people who don't pay for anything. They just use it for free. But I could see if an IPO, if they did push for an IPO and they were valuated at $15 billion or more, that it's going to be paywalled. A lot of functions. I don't necessarily know if they would take away things that are available today, but I guarantee you, like, new features are going to be paywalled that you need to pay. Oh, Discord's coming out with this. It's going to be paywalled. Because, I mean, every time somebody tries to come up with some public entity trying to come up with some gaming community, it always fails because the majority of the cool features and functions of that community are locked behind paying for a subscription or something. What was that one? Was it PvP or whatever, the gaming community that they tried to launch?
One, yeah.
It flopped. It didn't go anywhere.
Nope.
And it's just like the things that are free are they gain traction because they're free, and usually non-intrusive. Like, I mean, I have Discord installed on my PC. I have Discord installed on my phone. I have a Discord server. I don't boost it with Nitro or anything like that, but I have one for my friends and us to play games and chat and post gaming related stuff, and all friends are welcome to invite other friends to hang out. It is what it is. It's a nice community of just people who want to play games together. But anytime you bring in like a public sector, like a public offering or an IPO or whatever you want, anytime you bring in investors of any type, they expect some return. And the only way you can make return is to figure out how to keep increasing monetization. How do I keep making more money year over year? You're not, as a software holder at that point, you're not putting in the features and functions you're wanting. You have to think about what your investors want and how to make them money. So I don't agree. I don't think it's a good idea for them to go public. But at the same time, the reason I don't think they should go public is for personal reasons, selfish reasons, not because I don't think they deserve it. It's obviously a company that's making money, and I don't know, man. If you're valuated at $15 billion and you don't go public, it almost makes the developers, I hate to say it, but it almost makes you an idiot, right? I mean, if somebody says, hey, we value your company at $15 billion, if I owned that and it was a developer, I mean, I would pose this question to you guys. If the three of us owned a platform like Discord and somebody said, hey, we think that you can get an evaluation for $15 billion, would any of you balk at doing that? I mean, and no matter if somebody's calling you a sellout. I mean, as we go around, I'll ask each of you that, but I would probably have a hard time not doing something like that, even though I would lose control and ownership of my product, essentially, that I have to bend to those. I would probably become a rich man. So Shane, what do you think about this? And would you balk at being valuated at 15 if you went and basically made yourself a public company? $15 billion.
I would sell it for $10 billion, walk away, create a new company doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, I guarantee you, non-competes and everything like that for 10 years.
All right, then. I'll just sit around and watch internet porn.
Well, you don't have to. If you sold it for if you sold it for $10 billion, then you're probably not going to work like in a normal job ever again.
No.
You're going to become an investment banker of some kind.
Oh, no, no. I would honestly, I would do whatever it is my little heart wanted to do. I
Yeah.
would help people. I would create a game
You would have
studio.
fuck you
I
money and you would
oh,
spend it like that.
I would have fuck you islands, not Epstein, just adults. Um, no, it's. I think anybody who knows me knows I
DOA
hate
islands.
the investment community. I think it's a disgusting, rancid place, and it's what causes so many problems for people and in this country entirely. When you don't get me wrong, I believe if you believe in something, you in you can invest in that because you believe in it. But too often, the investors have too much say in in what a company is doing, and they cause problems for it. That's one of our problems with the video game industry right now. It's all about continuing the increase of profit. You can't be happy making $15 billion a year every year. You have to make 16 next year and then 17 the following year. And if you don't, what do? They find ways to basically destroy everything that we love. They had loot boxes and DLCs and season passes and all that crap to appease the goddamn investors. And that kills me. And I believe that with anything in the market, anything, be it from the video game market to the auto industry to the movie industry to farming equipment to sex toys. If you are an investor, you're investing in something because you believe in the product, you believe in the company. That's where your mouth should shut the fuck up. You shouldn't be allowed to dictate what that company does. Now, granted, there is a caveat to that. Let's say you got I don't know. Let's say a certain individual who ran Activision. We won't say his name, but or who he is, but we'll just say his name is Mr. Scumbag. So Mr. Scumbag is destroying the company, ruining everything it does. I think then the investors have the right to say, look, we're losing faith and confidence in this guy. That's one thing. To me, that's a whole different situation. But if it's just because, my profits didn't increase tenfold, this following year, we're going to just do everything wrong to the company until we either get our money or we break the company. That's where I have the problem with investors. I believe if you believe in it, you invest in it. If you want to run and control it, buy it. Buy them out. If you think you could do goddamn better, you buy them out. But
I mean, that essentially is what an investor is, though. They're buying out chunks of the company to have a say in the direction of the company.
Yes, and no, you're correct on that. But that's the problem I have with it. It's like if the three of us have a company, we put out we put out the ability to invest.
We go public,
and we go public, and let's say somebody decides, okay, we went 51% of the shares. Okay, that's
become majority owner.
They are in charge now. I mean, that's pretty much the way it's going to fall in. That shouldn't be happening, in my opinion. No investors should be allowed to just straight up continue to buy stocks until they own the company. I think there should be a limit on that. Like now, if you want to buy the company, like just buy the goddamn company. And a lot of it's me just because I get angry at what these people do to companies. It's all about the dollar and not about the product or the company itself or the people. It's always about that extra dollar the next day, the next year. Every damn thing has to be an increase. And like I said, a lot of it's personal because it personally pisses me off when I watch companies destroy themselves trying to appease a bunch of fucking strangers who've invested into them. I disagree with it. I think there should be a cap, but if you were to say, hey, we're going to give you, we have a valuation of 15 billion for your company. Well, fuck, I'm never going to just go, here, buy it. You want it that
Well, I mean,
bad.
I mean, there's no way to do, because somebody has to have a controlling stake. And what I mean by that is
yes,
somebody's always going to,
the
no,
developers, the creators, the founders, they're the ones.
Sometimes a company does keep controlling stake. They keep shares to where they know that they control, majority share.
Yes.
Majority share may not mean 51%. It may mean that we are the highest shareholder at 25% or something. So, I mean, that does happen. But at the same time, because shareholders don't vote for like the president of the company, the CEO of the company. They vote for the board of directors of the company, and the board of directors is responsible for hiring and firing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it can be a bad system if there's corruption or something like that. But for the most part, if you want to get rid of the president of a company, you have to convince enough people to oust the board to bring in people.
Or call Luigi.
Right. to oust it. So, I mean, there are protections in place for this. And the threat isn't from an investor saying that I want you to do it this way. The threat is that you're going to make a bad financial move and your investors are going to leave. That's the threat, right? And because then you have my brain is kind of going a different direction. Then you have less volume in the market. And so your shares are then you're losing money on your shares. Your shares are being diluted, right? So there's that. It's not, there is a controlling aspect to this. At the same time, when you go public, you can't be blind and go public. You have to know what you're getting into as a company, that when you go public, you're no longer get to make the decisions without repercussions. I mean, the repercussions are when you're private and you make decisions as your business goes under, right? The same thing happens when you're public, but at the same time, you're being scrutinized by those who aren't directly in the company. As you said, yes. I invest in your company because I believe in you. But at the same time, if I see you making moves I don't like, I abandon you and move on. Mm-hmm. And that's what shareholders do. They're like,
yes,
you're not making me money. And here's the thing is, anything that revolves around money is always going to be a money decision, right? I don't care who you are. Like us, we're not rich. But if I put $1,000 into your company, I'm going to expect my money to grow and not shrink, right? I mean, that's the whole thing of it.
Absolutely.
And so if I put $1,000 in and then a year later it's only valued at 800,
you're going to pull out.
I'm going to pull out, right?
Giggity.
Or let's say I put money in you and I put $1,000 in there and you make me over the course of 10 years, it's valued at $2,500. But then you start making decisions I don't like and it gets down to 19 and I pull out. You made me $900.
That is the risk of investment, though. That's literally
right. But
the whole premise of investment.
But me as an investor, I made $900 off of you, but it took me 10 years or whatever. But I still pulled out because it wasn't happy with what you were doing. And that's what I'm saying is that I think a lot of it is people look at it wrongly as that these investors just have this surmountable amount of control, but it's not the investors, it's your public view, because you're in complete public view and the public can say, I don't trust you anymore because you're making these crappy decisions. I mean, look at the whole thou should not be named at EA. He tanked that company. He devalued the crap out of that company when stuff was going on. And he was there. The investors could not get the board to get rid of him, no matter how many people pulled out and how much they devalued that stock. It's, and some of that could have been some corruption or collusion where they were like, hey, Microsoft's coming in and they're going to get us. So let's get this value lower, Who knows what was going on there? But at the same time, that's the whole point of being public, is that you're publicly scrutinized. You have to publicly disclose your books and things like that. So I think being public can be a good thing. But yes, you are expected to increase revenue year over year as a public company, because it's not what you do as a company, it's capitalism 101, right? Take it or leave it, love it or hate it. But capitalism is like, what have you done for me lately? Right? Like, if I don't see a return on investment as an investor, then I'm going to pull out, right? Unless you just love the company and you're just like, I love everything about Nutella, so I'm staying in Nutella forever, or whatever, it is what, because think about Netflix. Everybody loved Netflix. And when they went public, it was like, I'm never getting rid of this. This is the best company ever. And then they start doing dirtbag things and people are like, oh no, I'm dumping this. Even though Netflix probably made them money hand over fist, they're like, now Netflix is the bad guy. Right?
And
So
that's
the risk.
That's the risk of investing. But
But to call it an
when you
investor
destroy
thing,
the company, my whole thing is, no matter what it is, when you destroy the company for the dollar value of the investor, that's where I have the problem.
but that's your board and your executive leadership that does that, right?
Exactly. Now, if you ruin the company, then yeah, you should be voted out. I mean, Captain Dipshit should have been shot out of a cannon into space years ago. But it scares me and worries me and angers me when it's way too much of the same thing causing the same problem. And no matter what it is, it's always about that increase of the dollar. And, if I invest in something, I expect to make my money.
You expect your dollar to
And
grow.
if I expect tenfold every year, and if I'm saying, look, if you don't increase it, increase my profit next year by 25%, then I'm taking my money out. That's where I have the problem. But that's more of a people thing. That's because people are horrible. People are terrible. Nick, what about you, man? You're just sitting over there doing the Janet Jackson song. What have you done for me lately? Bebop there. I mean, what do you think? Are people horrible? Are investors terrible?
Can be.
Because I guarantee you, every one of us is an investor. Because I would guarantee it. Because if you have 401k, you're an investor in something.
Yep, which is better keep an eye on that crap here. It's getting funky.
I mean, basically, if Discord goes public, more than likely, yeah. I mean, that might push someone to make an open source version of it or some sort of chat program. I mean, the reason why it's in the article they said gamers shouldn't condense themselves down to one voice option, but we do, and the reason why we do is the same reason why we use like Steam for all of our gaming on PC and certain things, is because we don't want to have to open up and use multiple things to do one operation, right? We want to find that one program or that one thing that does everything well and use that. So Discord does a really good job with voice chat and that whole functionality. And so that's why gamers use it, because it works well, right? It's not because we all think like Discord's the best or whatever as far as like the company goes or anything like that. It's just you set out to do a specific thing with your product and you did it the best, right? And it's not the same with that's the same with everything out there, right? When there's any sort of product, when you have multiple copies of the same product out there, the one that does the job the best is typically the one that continues to be used, right? And the other ones die off, or they're still around, but they're not as used as much, right? So it's just what it is. But if Discord publicly sells themselves, which I don't blame them for doing so, but that will probably cause Discord to then no longer be popular, especially among gamers, and it might be for other sources, but for gamers, they'll probably move off of that and find something else, right? Because we are cheap, and we're not going to pay for Discord's price models or anything like that. We'll just go find something else to talk to each other in. Maybe we'll go to Skype before it leaves.
If you own Discord and somebody said that you could value your company's valuated at $15 billion, you would find, would you go public so that you can make some more?
Goodbye, Felicia.
Right.
But, that's because, for me, it's like, yeah, I mean, I can understand, like, from a gamer's perspective or from a gamer and having this product, I would want it to remain as is because I would want people to continue to use it as is, right? And it's for the justification of this is what I created it for, and I don't want to take it public because of the scrutiny and various things like that. But also, I am human, and $15 billion does sound nice. So, or whatever, right? Anything with a B on it sounds pretty good to me. So
sounds like more money than I've ever seen or smelled or touched or looked at.
And so I don't blame a developer from going like, hey, your product's valued at so much money, you could basically go public and sell it off or whatever, and put that money in your pocket, or whatever the case may be.
Sell your
and it's
shares when you go public and just get out.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not? Right. Then I can go live on the beach in the Bahamas, sipping on a coconut, every day or whatever. Coconut drink. Well, I guess you could sip a coconut if you want to do.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
But
quenches your thirst.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, yeah, because back in the day, we used to have 3 or 4 chat services installed on our computers if we wanted to chat with people. You had IRC,
Right.
Roger Wilco, Ventrilo, and all that stuff. And then, it's the same thing with anything else. Like look at Skype. Skype used to be the big dog, and now they're closing down, right?
Yep.
Things like Teams and Zoom and Slack and WhatsApp and all this stuff just stole all the thunder, and they're like, yeah, we can't make any money.
Right. And then these other ones, like you mentioned, Teams and Slack and WhatsApp and stuff like that,
Slack.
Once Skype goes away officially, which is almost there, then you'll see these other ones compete for service. And then again, there's still going to be a few sitting around, but it's ultimately going to be 1 to 2 messaging apps that are going to be the most used, right? It's the same with like browsers. There's a crap ton of browsers out there, but more than likely people use 2 browsers, right? Edge, I'm not counting Edge because Edge is on every computer because it's Microsoft's browser, but more than likely people have Chrome or they have Firefox, right? That's the 2 browsers that most people typically would have on their machines. Besides Edge, of course, but that's pre-installed, but there's a ton of, there's a ton of browsers out there. There's a crap ton of browsers. Yeah. But most people probably, if you surveyed most people, it's probably either Firefox or Chrome, right? So again, people centralize on one product, regardless of how many products there are.
Whichever one has the best features and user friendly, but then it also becomes a popularity contest after that. Right?
It does. Yeah, because some could say like Opera is better than Chrome or something, or what is that duck one or whatever? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Ducky or
Avast,
Suck a Duck or whatever.
I mean, like the top 2 are Chrome and Safari, right? Those are your 2 biggest browsers.
Oh, yeah, well, Safari. But Safari, again, is one of those things like Edge. It's pre-installed, on the Apple products.
Yeah, you can't count the pre-installed because
and Safari sucks. Apple sucks.
What's Opera? Is that one still around?
Yep.
Opera's still around. And then there's that duck one. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah, I mean, so the top 2 market shares of actual usage is Chrome at 66%, Safari at 13%, and then Edge, then Firefox, then Opera. As far as usage. And then Samsung Internet. I didn't know that was still a thing, but
yeah, on the Samsung phones it is.
I mean, yeah, that's what I have, but I use Chrome on my Samsung.
Chrome on my Samsung. Yeah. I do too.
So yeah, I
mean, you could use Chrome on your Apple device as well, right? You don't have to use Safari.
Yep. So like I said, there's tons of them out there. Yeah, Flock. Is that the one you're thinking of, Nick? Is Flock maybe? Or
the duck?
It might be.
It's hard to remember all these ones.
Yeah, there's NetFlock.
Flock.
Yep. Everybody remembers Netscape back in the day, right?
Netscape.
Navigator.
I remember that.
Netscape used to be the big dog. Remember, everybody had Netscape.
There was the whole lawsuit about Microsoft Internet Explorer when they were installing it on the computers, and Netscape sued them because of all that.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, like when you got a computer back in the day, you would install, even though Internet Explorer was there, kind of like Edge is there now. You would install Netscape, right? Because it was the better browser. In the same way with today, like if I get a new computer, I'm installing Chrome because that's what I like to use. And I think it's the better browser for me personally. And so that's what I use. Right. And so even though Edge is there, and I think Edge is better than Internet Explorer, if we're going to talk about internet browsers, but
well, I mean, it's the replacement for it. So
it is a replacement for it. It's better than Internet Explorer, but it's still
Chromium
crappy.
Based, so
yeah, it's Chroma based. So there you go. But I still prefer Chrome, right? And so everyone has their preferences, and it's really, that's how kind of Discord became its popularity, because the process of what it did worked really well. And it just became popular among users because it did the job that it was designed to do the best, right? And also popularity, name recognition, things like that also helps out. So
peer pressure,
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's why people use it nowadays. But if it goes public, which I don't blame them for doing so, but then it'll cause more than likely something else to crop up, which will then take a lot of, I'm not saying all, but a lot of people that use Discord now will move over to whatever that is, right? And that will become popular.
I think they'll be fine until they make the first investor related change to the product that makes it no longer free or anything like that. You know, I don't remember when they introduced the whole Nitro subscription thing, but I'm pretty sure that was met with not very good reception. Oh, they're putting a subscription service in, and I don't know if it came with it. You know, so I don't remember that far back, but you know, I'm sure that wasn't received very well, but people love it because now you get cool little icons and active gifts and stuff on your server and things like that. So I mean, and none of it like was necessity features that were removed from the product, you know. So it's just like
once they take out like
once they're like you can have
chat, right?
Yeah, the free version.
Paywall.
Yeah, when the free version only allows you to have one voice chat channel and one general chat channel, that's when the service will die.
And all messages are in lowercase.
But going public, what will destroy them, in my opinion, is the first monetization pass they do at it that removes features or functions for end users, like restricting the number of channels and the number of people in the server. That will be the death nail of the product, and somebody will come out with something free again, and people will migrate away until that goes public. That's what always happens, right? I mean, that's what happens. People get a disdain or distaste for a product, and then they just leave it in droves, and eventually it loses out. Because Internet Explorer used to be the most popular internet browser, and then, you know, Chrome came out and it was better. People liked it. It was less, at the time, Chrome was less system invasive, and now I think Chrome is like a virus in itself. And there's like 27 instances always running when you have one tab open. You're like, why do I have 27 instances of Chrome EXE running with different pieces of the software? And you're just like, you know, but, you know, like I said, I think that it will be fine once they go public initially. And then their first pass at some type of monetization subscription service will probably be a good chunk of their player base leave once something new comes out. So if you're looking to make a competitor, you need to start building now. And when they go public, then you roll out your strategy, right? And then you could take it over. But you need your own monetization strategy because you got to make money to keep those servers and, you know, servers and data centers running, things like that. So,
yep. As soon as they charged for eHarmony, I went to Grindr.
That's where he met Mr. Wonderful.
Hi, Nick.
Mr. Wonderbread.
Right.
So white bread.
Yep. So you guys got anything else on this topic? We kind of beat this one in the ground a little bit. Anytime we talk about investors or anything like that, Shane gets a little
I hope the audience is still awake, is all I have to say.
Yeah. If you don't care about any of that investor stuff and you're just gamers, then you're probably already checked out. But if you're still around and you haven't subscribed to the channel, why not? You know, you get to hear a bunch of old men, you know, complain about the weather. In this case, it's complaining about video game related stuff. So subscribe, help us out, you know, help out some old crotchety gamers with some subscriptions, you know, and hit that bell to get notified every time we put out new videos. And we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.
See you.